All right, so that one lens that you need, the first one that you really want to get when you're really adamant about becoming a better sports photographer, about really pursuing the craft, is the 70 to 200. But before you leave, there's a bunch of different versions, different price points, and some good reasons why it's the best one for you to get first. If I could only walk around with one lens, this would be it. All right, so first off, the 70 to 200 is just a great workhorse lens. It's a great range for the zoom, can give you a lot of options for getting slightly wider shots, also, telephoto, zoomed in shots, getting details, setting the scene, telling the story. Okay, it's just a lens that can kind of do it all when it comes to sports. It's a great length for shooting basketball, hockey, wrestling, volleyball, any of those indoor sports that you're going to be shooting. It can handle it. You get real close to the players, you can get a little bit wider view depending on where you are around the playing surface. Now when you're outside, yeah, it can be, a little short. 400 is amazing to shoot for those bigger field sports, but the 70 to 200 honestly is great in its own right because you can shoot from the sidelines, you get the full body of people. If you're down near the end zones when the players are down there, you don't need a 400. A 400 is way too close. So yes, you might miss some shots that are across the field or further down, but as long as you're willing to move your feet, the 70 to 200 can still capture anything you want during the game. And so here's some images that I recently shot at a World Ultimate Club Championships just using the 70 to 200. And as you can see, a lot of variation here, a lot of just different types of images, stuff that really tells you what's going on. It's not just a 400 showing just the action, it's showing it's telling a bigger story. Another great thing about the 70 to 200 is that if you're starting out, you may have a crop sensor, which means that whatever you're using, you can multiply it by 1.4, 1.6, depending on your camera. I know mine when I was starting out was a 1.6 crop, which means my 70 to 200 on it was a 112 to 320, which just makes it even better. It, maybe starts getting a little bit long for indoors, but still very usable. But also when you're outdoors, it gives you a little bit extra reach that you may have felt like you were missing. So 7200 on a crop body is just amazing in general. Also, especially when you're starting out, because those bodies are a little bit cheaper than the full frames. And you pair it with the 70 to 200, and you got a great camera rig right there ready to get all kinds of shots that you want. Another great thing about the 70 to 200 is that when you are starting out, right, you don't want to spend a ton of money, and the 70 to 200 comes in a lot of different versions. Now, just doing a quick search on a used camera site, I saw that I could get one version for about $500, and it goes all the way up to $1,500. If you want to get a brand new one, top of the line, f2.8 image stabilization, that's going to cost you, $2,300, $2,700, depending on what camera system you're using. I've bought my 70 to 200 used. I've gone through 2 different versions, and it's great. There's so many of them out there that they're generally always in stock. They're going to be a lot of different, excellent or bargain. Don't go for bargain. You want to get something that's good and it's going to work for you. But it gives you a lot of range to work with on price. And yes, any of these are going to be expensive, especially for a new person entering the sports photography world. But compared to buying a 400 2.8, which is going to be 10 to 12 grand, this is a lot better deal than that, and you're still going to be able to get a lot of amazing images. So the different versions, there's an image stabilization version and a non-image stabilization version. Now, if you're using this mostly for sports and you want to save money, I suggest just going for the non-IS lens. That's what I started with, an f2.8 non-IS, and it works. You're shooting at a high shutter speed. You don't really need the image stabilization. Now, if you're going to be shooting events or things where you're going to be putting the shutter down to 1/250 or 1/200th of a second, you might want to go for the IS. But if you're looking to save a couple $100 or even a couple thousand, if you're looking at a new lens, then definitely go for the non-IS version when you're using it for sports. Your other option when looking at 70 to 200s is the f2.8 or the f4. Now, I've only had the f2.8 just because I've been using it for events and other shoots other than just sports, and also sports at night and indoors. The 2.8 really helps out. And for my research, it's actually not that big a difference when looking at the price, maybe a couple $100 if you want the 2.8 versus the 4, depending on if you get image stabilization or not. So I think it's kind of worth it to get the 2.8 to start, because if you keep switching and upgrading, you may as well have just started with the 2.8. So I would suggest getting the 2.8. If you can't swing it, go for the f4. It's going to be great. You're still going to be able to use it in a lot of situations. So the 70 to 200 is a must-have for any sports photographer. Anyone that's looking to try to level up that doesn't have one, you got to get one. Anyone that is just trying to pursue this, as a profession, you definitely need one. If you're just hanging around shooting photos of your kids or friends on the field and you don't really care that much, if you have the money, still get one. If you don't get one. All right, it's that easy. If you're looking to pursue sports photography, you need to have one of these lenses. It's just going to greatly increase the quality of your images and the amount of images that you can get. So go out there, buy it used, buy the f4 non-IS for a couple $100, or get the 2.8 non-IS. If you're loaded and have a ton of money, get the newest version with the 2.8 and the IS and go crazy. All right, they're all going to be great lenses. They're all, if it's your first one, you're going to love it. So 70 to 200, you got to have it. See you next time.